All right, so let's go ahead and kind of talk to real quick, and we'll go over kind of the negatives. So, one of my number one negative, and this was a little tough for me too. The one negative was I thought about all the things on the bike that I would say is a negative, and they all were, I would almost say, nitpicky to a certain extent. So the only thing that like really like frustrates me and still frustrates me a little bit, no upgrades for the VVT by Harley. That was my number one negative. I'm like, come on, Harley. We got these bikes. We've had them a year in the VVT, and we still don't have a VVT cam or anything that we can do from Harley. Like, we don't even have a tuner or easy. I mean, they got that tuner, but it's nothing. So, I mean, we have to go out the market to get any performance, and that's only in the ECU right now.
Right.
So yeah, that's my biggest gripe is that if you really want to make, I mean, with the new aftermarket ECU, and we're going to get in that by Impact Wiring Solutions, does make a big difference. So that is one big upgrade that we got performance-wise, really the only performance besides the air cleaner and exhaust.
Right.
And so that's it. So that's probably my biggest complaint. I mean, it would have been cool for us to have a cam by now.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and especially since Harley had so much opportunity the year leading up to the bike.
Right.
Right. Where they're talking about the bike and they're letting all these other people test ride the bikes and do all this stuff. There should have been early developments into the normal things that people do for upgrades. So I would concur, because it's like, here we are 2 years past the break of them saying, oh, we got, new
It's
bike
coming
out,
right.
yada, yada. So, but for me, on my number one negative, I have the no adjustability for the front suspension.
Ooh, that's a good one.
So the reason I have that on there is number one, is because here we were super excited. We followed the bikes for all this time prior to the bikes coming out. We're hearing about the suspension. We're hearing about all this stuff. Harley releases the bikes. We get the bikes. It has the adjustability in the rear, which is great. We've already given the pros to that. But there's nothing on the front side of the suspension. It's great that they're inverted forks.
Right.
It does change the dynamic of the riding a lot. So there is a positive in it.
Right.
But the negative side to that, about 6 months after we get our bikes, maybe 7 months, 8 months, I don't know, I wasn't keeping track, they come out with the CVO ST that has adjustability in the front fork suspensions. And I'm like, you are got to be kidding me.
Crazy.
So I was super like, that went to the top of my list of negatives because, we're not only are we buying a bike for the performance, but we're also buying a CVO. Right. So we're buying it because we want it to stand, we want it to come with the additional stuff that CVOs come with.
Right.
And it stands, a little higher on the upgrades than most of the other bikes, the 117s and stuff. So.
Right. And you're buying the top of the line bike so that you can get all the features and not have to pay for them outside of pocket. You can go straight to it because I did that with my Street Glide. I bought the Street Glide and I probably got almost as much money, if not more, than I do in the CVO trying to upgrade. And it still didn't have all the things.
Yes.
Because, unless you like some guys are mechanically, they can do a lot of things on their own. But, I'm busy. I'm working. I got things. So I pay guys to do things. So that's one of the reasons why I got a CVO.
Yeah.
And the fact that it doesn't have it on there and they put it on the CVO ST the
the
following year, it's like, come on.
It was like a throat punch.
Yes.
And
the crazy thing is that guys that are buying the 24 CVOs, they should be upset too because it's like, okay, now you already have it. You should at least put it on the 24 CVOs. Easily.
So
and one of my thoughts to that is that, okay, one of the things I thought where you were going to go with negative on that was when we started hearing about the bikes, we were hearing that the suspension was going to be electronic like they have on some of the other bikes, the BMWs, different things, and that was going to be an electronic adjustability.
Right.
And it didn't have it. Now, a lot of guys were really bummed out and really upset that the bike didn't have that. For me, I was kind of like, I've never had it. I've never used the electronic suspension like that. I thought it sounded cool and it'd be neat. My concern was maybe some extra weight or if something were to go wrong with the system, things like that. So for me, personally, I wasn't, as long as the suspension was better,
Right.
I really didn't care if it was electronic or not, because I almost, to some degree, I don't even want to deal with electronic on something that really affects the performance. Because yeah, your infotainment center, it's had some glitches, it'll go out for a little bit, but the bike still runs just fine. It's no problem. You just can't see some of the stuff, but a lot of times I'm not even looking at stuff anyway. I ride my bike by feel and hear, and that's it. So, but when you talk about suspension, electronic, something happened on your suspension and it goes hard, you're on a trip. That's a bummer.
Yes.
So that was one of the reasons why I didn't care too much about that, even though some guys really complained about it. I'm kind of okay with it. But the one thing, like he said, I wasn't okay with is the front fork adjustabilities. Yeah. I've been looking into, and I'm sure that there's got to be a way that we can order some of that from Harley, from the CVO, and be able to swap it out. But I haven't. It's one of those things. The suspension actually has been pretty good, so it's not like top of list,
right,
to take care of. It's like, am I going to spend that much money? Am I going to get enough of a difference in the performance to make it justify spending the money? Maybe, maybe not. A buddy of ours has a CVO he just got not too long ago, so maybe we can swap bikes and bring you guys some feedback from both of us and all of us on that. So that's something that I'm looking to put together. So let's go in. So my number 2 was the infotainment center, and then no Android, which that's just an Android thing. That's not a Harley thing. But at the end of the day, I wasn't that worried about the Android, because I got a mount and I just mount my phone on there and I just use it, so, and it Bluetooths everything fine. I just don't have it like on the screen, which is honestly for me, like I said, I'm not a big techie guy, so it's not that big of a deal for me. But what is a big deal for me, and I remember guys talking about when I got the Street Glide, the infotainment here versus some of the older Street Glides was that the infotainment was so slow. Everything was slow on it, and when these bikes were a lot faster than those old bikes. Well, now we went forward with the technology and features, but with things being slow, this bike, the infotainment is a little slow. And booting up, it's a little slow sometimes in switching from certain things. Certain things are pretty fast, but certain things are a little bit slow. So that was, and then you do have a few glitches here and there. But fortunately for us, neither one of us had any major glitches that have stayed, or we had to go have the bike worked on. Every one of our glitches, we were able to either just pull the main fuse, pop it back in, or you kill the bike, start it back up, and it goes away.
Right.
So we've been pretty blessed on that.
My number 2 is right in line with Ron. So mine was for Apple CarPlay. So Ron obviously runs Android, and I run iPhone. So the thing for me on the Apple CarPlay that was super frustrating was that the Apple CarPlay feature can only work with a headset attached to the bike and then attached to your phone. So all of them had to be paired together in order for Apple CarPlay to work. For me, that was super frustrating, because here they provided these what we would consider to be nice headsets that came with the bike, but at the end of the day, both of the headsets were junk. I used my headset, or actually I gave my headset to Ron's wife. She tried to use it. It didn't work. And then later on, we went by, I went and got another helmet, got a Cena product. The Cena worked well. But the thing that was so frustrating is having to have your headset connected in order for Apple CarPlay to be able to pair up.
Right.
It's one of those, it's almost, I get it, it's a safety feature, right? Because they want you to be able to be hands-free. But at the same time, like, a lot of people might not ride with the headset. They might not even want a headset, right?
Right.
Just because they are, like Ron said, they're in tune with the noise, the sounds, the things that are going on. So that was super frustrating to have that. That was my number 2, so it was right in line with yours.
Yeah, and I would say on that, the whole thing, like, it's kind of a bummer, because, like, it's probably because of lawsuits that some of these things, like, I'm sure it's because of lawsuits, people suing Android is why Android is not supporting motorcycles anymore. I'm sure that the whole attached to the headset thing is to kind of alleviate Harley being sued by somebody. And so it's kind of unfortunate that people do things like that and they mess it up for everybody. But, I get that to some degree. I get it, but it is a big pain in the butt.
Yeah.
But the good thing, to have some aftermarket things that came out now where you can bypass it, which is great. So thank goodness for the aftermarket community, because they really help us enjoy our bikes a whole lot more. So number 3 was the seat. We talked about the seat. We've kind of got into that. It's just not that comfortable. It's a good looking seat. I like the ergonomics of it. Send the bad boy cycle, George, and get it worked on, and it's a lot more comfortable and a lot more enjoyable.
Whole lot.
Yeah, and it looks sweeter too.
Yep. And my number 3 was the saddlebags. They ended up obviously reducing some of the weight of the bike, and one of the ways they went about that was making the saddlebags thinner. And the negative side to that is, like, I upgraded, I think Ron's upgraded as well to the new 6x9s,
Yes.
which has a bigger speaker, bigger magnet, more weight. So when you open up the saddlebag, you've got to be super precautious that you don't let the lid just fall. If you let the lid just fall, it could potentially rip the lid off of the side of the saddlebag. And then if you're riding with, your significant other, she's not aware of it. So you've kind of got to babysit her. And so for me, the saddlebag was kind of negative.
Yeah, it's a little flimsy. It's one of the things, a little flimsy, especially when you're flopping that lid open. All right, so that's number 3. Now we're going to go into number 4. Number 4, hates or worst or cons. For me, and again, now I'm really reaching. These last 2 I'm reaching. But for me, it was the wheels. And I like the wheels. I think the wheels are nice. But really, the reason it was the wheels for me is because these wheels have already come out on a CVO Road Glide in the past. I forget what year it was.
19.
Maybe a 19, yep. And they were 21s. They were 21s, and they look really cool. And I pull, at Maverick, I pull mine up next to one of the guys up there that has the 21 CVO. And I'm like, dang, man, your rim looks so much sweeter than mine. Because it's the 21, we got the 19s. But I'm not so mad at that because being a 19-inch, it does help with the performance a little bit. I mean, there's not a big difference. I put a 21 on my Street Glide, and I noticed a little bit of a difference. It wasn't, to me, it wasn't that big of a difference that it wouldn't matter either way to me. I'd be okay with either one, so I'm okay with the wheel. But if I had to pick one, it'd be the wheel. Been cool to be a 21. Right. It'll look a lot sweeter. And then the other thing, since they've already done this wheel, it would have been cool if they came out with something like really cool performance wheel or something. It'd be nice if it was like a carbon fiber wheel or something. Yeah. I know I'm reaching, but I'm just saying it'd be cool. But no, it's cool. It'd probably be a lot more expensive too. But no, that's probably what I would say for my number 4.
Number 4.
Yeah. What about you?
So my number 4, I'm gonna go back to the VVT, and really I'm kind of like Ron. I would say that I was reaching a little bit, but I was also reaching in anger. And one of the main reasons I was reaching in anger was just due to the fact of, I feel like Harley totally just gave up when it comes to moving forward and helping with the performance in the cam for the VVT. Right. I feel like they just basically they've given up on us. And when I say us, I'm sure there's hundreds of these motorcycles that have been produced. They're looking for the same thing, potentially without having to get away from their the VVT and moving back to just a regular straight cam. So that was my number 4. I mean, it's just super frustrated that, Harley would basically delete it on the CVOST model and then just move forward. And here we are, like, stepchildren in the back, like, right. Whatever.
Wondering what's going to happen. I mean, that's why that was my number 1, is that, the performance for the VVT is like, are they ever going to bring out something, or did they just say, it's good enough? Like, right. We don't really know. We keep hearing of aftermarket companies working on things. I even heard that there's something out, but I haven't truly seen anybody selling it right. and showing, hey, where we put it on and how it operates, or know anybody that has it. Unlike the Impact Wiring Solution VVT, we know multiple people that have it, have used it, and we're seeing the performance gains. And then Ray himself has actually bought it, put it on his bike, tuned it, so we know it's there. But like these cams we keep hearing about, there's not even on the forums, we don't see anybody that's like truly had it, right, other than doing a delete right. from the VVT and putting the cam on. We've seen that, yes. and they're getting lots of power, but we want to keep the VVT with the cam.
Right.
Right. Number 5 for me, and again, I'm really reaching right here. So my complaint, my con, my don't buy this bike because it's a 23 and a half versus a 23 or a 24? I know I'm reaching.
Yeah, you're really reaching for that one, yeah.
But no, I mean,
It just goes back to the stepchild situation, right? 23 and a half.
yeah,
I mean,
what is that?
You're half a part of the family.
Yeah.
So.
Maybe one day it'll seem special and we'll feel special for it, but right now we feel special in the other way.
Super special.
Yeah. Now, it was cool that it was the first one and we were able to get it.
Right.
That was really awesome.
Right.
But the thing is, it came out so late in the year.
Yeah.
I mean, why so late? Why didn't it come out like earlier
Yeah.
with some of the other bikes that were 23s? And then on top of that was like now when we try to get parts and order parts, we have to be very specific about what we have and what it is. And sometimes we had to argue with people.
Oh, the 23.
No, that's not it. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it gets to be super annoying.
Yes.
So, well, my number 5, and this wasn't really didn't really start affecting me until I started putting a lot of miles on the bike. Mm-hmm. But my number 5 is going to be the brake pedal position. Oh. So, and on my feet, and the reason it's a negative for me is because, we're looking at a bike from a performance standpoint. That's something that we had always been looking at. But when you're sitting on the bike and you start to ride and you start to take off, from a performance, if we're wanting to keep our feet just flat on the pegs or pads on the boards, if we're wanting to keep our feet flat and then we're wanting to go reach for the brake pedal, we have to pull our foot back and up to be able to get up onto the top of the pedal. It's almost like there was no thought into where the floorboard was in relation to where the pedal was going to fall. And I mean, I've kind of looked at it a bunch of different ways, and I know there's aftermarket pedals that you can get. There's a company, I can't recall the name of the company right now, but there's a company that produces a brake pedal that changes the position of the brake pedal, and he does it based off your height and some other stuff. So I think that's amazing that there's somebody aftermarket that has thought about people's feet position to brake pedal. So it was a super negative for me because I have to pull my foot up and out to be able to get on that brake pedal. And it's just, when you're riding, you want to be able to have as much focus. We live in Texas, so it's super busy. And if you're riding on the streets with these guys, I mean, you need to actually have another head on a swivel to be able to just make sure that everything's going straight. And having to think about foot orientation and all that stuff combined with just trying to ride is a little frustrating. So that was my number 5 negative.
That's kind of interesting because I hear guys talk about it as far as having more room and having that pedal out there a little further. And, I'm a little taller, but I think for me, the reason I probably don't have that gripe, and even when the guys would tell me about changing it, I never really felt the need. But, I got a big old foot. I got a 13, and so I actually can kind of still keep my heel on the board and cover the brake, and it's not that big of an issue that I've noticed. There are times like when I'm just cruising and I got my foot on the board just resting, and all of a sudden, something comes up and I, probably pick it up because the positioning is a little bit. But usually like when I'm doing my slow maneuvers and things like that, I'm able to kind of keep that heel on there and keep my toe on the brake at the same time. Yeah. So it hasn't, I guess that's why it hasn't been much of a gripe for me. But I can understand it does stick up there because I do have to like really keep it up to do that cover and really, flex, dorsiflex and all of that thing. So anyway, yeah, I guess I kind of understand that. Yeah. But yeah, so that's it, guys. That's kind of the difference, again, based on, your height and, your strength and just like what you like about motorcycles and what things are important to you. Those pros and cons are going to be different to everybody. Some of them are going to be all-encompassing, like the performance and all those things. We had a lot of things that were similar. Right. And so we just wanted to kind of give you that perspective of the things that we both like without being biased on it because we didn't really talk about it a lot. But I will say overall, man, I love this bike. This bike is a huge improvement over at least my street glide. I didn't own the old road glide, can I say much, but I'm sure it's very similar other than the fairing of this bike I have. So It's been a big improvement. I really love the bike, and I mean, just the way the weight distribution and how light it feels. Everybody says that. It's the one consensus thing I think everybody feels a lot lighter than old bikes. Everybody says that.
Yep.
So that's one big thing. But I would just say, like, if you're on the fence about upgrading this bike, again, we got the first one that ever came out.
Yep.
And I mean, we've had nothing but good things with
Yeah.
it. And so I would say, do it, buy it, go get it. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, I love it. And I'm so excited about all the things that come with these bikes and what we're going to be able to do and the performance and seeing what other guys do. And even the guys with the 117s, I'm hearing so many good things about those bikes too. And guys are really loving them. So I just can say it doesn't matter whether you're going with the regular 117 or you're going with the CVO or the CVO ST or whatever. I think if you're going to love these bikes if you buy them. You're not gonna regret it.
Yep, phenomenal bike. Very good bike.
All right, well, hey guys, again, Ray, thank you for letting us be in your hangar at Elite Jet Solutions. I mean, hope you guys that you love this footage and let us know, comment, subscribe, let us know your feedback about the location, the video, the way we did it. We would love to make changes that, make it enjoyable content to consume. Let us know if you like us being in this spot versus some of the other spots that we've done, or if you'd like us to see us get out in other spots, maybe go out in the countryside and do some videos. I don't know, but let us know how you like the hangar and how cool this was. I mean, the other day we had the plane in the background. Today the plane is out, but we got a different backdrop, and so hopefully we can bring you more content here if you like it. So let us know what you think about it, how cool that is. But I appreciate you allowing me to do this and coming aboard and helping me. I mean, this has been awesome, and I appreciate your friendship and appreciate you allowing us to do this. Also, a big shout out, thanks to Adrian Martinez, who has been a blessing to me and helped us kind of set up a lot of this and give us his vision of it. And so it's been awesome. I'm super blessed to have great friends and great fellowship and people to be a help and a blessing to me. And hopefully you guys are loving the content and we can bring you more and keep improving and getting better. But man, this has been really cool. It's been a great experience for me. And so I just want to say thanks and I appreciate you.
No problem, anytime.
All right, guys. RJ out. We'll see you on the next video.